get on here and have a chat with you all about life after surgery. So essentially, after I had my surgery on the 3rd of September, I ended up coming home after 2 nights in hospital. And then there was a few other issues after that. So the first week was a breeze, actually. It was just liquids for the first 2 weeks it's meant to be. So the first 10 days, I just had thin fluids, which is basically really runny soup. You can't have any lumps or anything in it. It's just got to be like chicken. I had chicken broth, beef broth, vegetable broth, and that also got a lot of minerals into my diet. And then I had like normal like pumpkin soup, just really thin pumpkin soup. I had, what else did I have? Yeah, that was pretty much it. Like I really just lived off those soups and a vegetable soup. I found though with the vegetable soup, it was homemade. So my mum made all the soups for me. The onion didn't really agree with me. That was one thing I found really hard to handle, was the first 2 weeks I had really bad reflux, just indigestion, reflux. It just was not a good time. I was on medication for it, obviously, and they give you that medication when you go into hospital. Yeah, that was a bit of a pain. So yeah, did that, and then all of a sudden, you know, it got to about day 12. Yeah, I actually ended up, excuse me, see, I still get it now. I actually ended up getting a really bad back spasms. So the back spasms were not enjoyable. I was in a lot of pain. I ended up just laying on my stomach for a good day. I had to get a doctor out, get all that sorted. And then after that actually happened, the next day it got worse. So it didn't actually get better. For 2 days it was pretty bad, and then all of a sudden I'd start getting pain at my front as well. So I started getting really bad pain at my front, like it was just horrific. It was hard to swallow things as well. So we made an emergency appointment to see my surgeon. And my surgeon actually told me, he said that I had esophageal, and stomach spasms. So that could have been caused from the spasm in my back reverberating to the front, like everything tensed up. So that was a real big problem, because I couldn't swallow any of my pills because my esophagus basically went to that big. It was just ridiculous. So that was a problem. So that was for a good 5 days. I ended up being like that, and then I was also vomiting as well. So there was a combination of this going on for a good 10 days. And my doctor, you know, did a blood test on me. He got a leak test done to make sure that my stomach was actually fine. And they all came back fine. They all came back okay, except my iron level was really low on my blood test, which is kind of normal for me because I have low iron regardless. I always have. So yeah, that happened. And then, hang on. By the time day 24 rolled around, I had already been vomiting a lot. I was keeping my fluid down, but I was just randomly just being sick, and I wasn't bringing anything up. It was just stomach bile, so it really wasn't anything that bad, but I just kept vomiting. And then eventually what happened was I ended up getting this pain 2 days prior up here, and it really hurt. And then by day 24 I thought, okay, I'll be okay. I'm not gonna vomit. I won't vomit today. It seems to be okay. By 4 o'clock I had 1 vomit, and I ended up just falling to the floor. I was in so much pain. I was kind of going in and out of consciousness. it was that painful. I called my neighbor to take me to the hospital, and unfortunately, she looked at me and she said, I can't take you like this. We're gonna have to call an ambulance. So it was pretty bad. So the ambulance came and they gave me, you know, that green whistle that you blow on when you're in pain, and it doesn't work. It doesn't help. It was like sucking air. It didn't help the pain at all. I was in so much pain. I'm pretty sure when I was in the van, they gave me 2 shots of morphine on the way to the hospital, and I was just continuously vomiting in the van. I actually wasn't even strapped in because they couldn't hold me down because I had to keep hunching over because my abdomen was just in so much pain. Like, oh my God, it was excruciating. Anyway, so we get to the hospital and everything, and they did tests, they did a CT scan, they did blood work, they also did an x-ray, and I think that was it that same night. I think that was it. So they found that I had a hematoma on my spleen, which was not good. So it's like a pooling of blood on your spleen. They also found that I had a blood clot in my abdomen, and which is very unusual. Normally you get blood clots when you've had surgery, like in your legs and stuff for this type of surgery, because you're not wandering around and all that. So got a blood clot in my abdomen. So they started immediately all the IV fluids, all the whatever the blood thinning is through, the injection. Whatever the injection is, they just shove it in your leg or in your bum, doesn't matter. And then I was in hospital for 2 weeks nearly. So what progressed from there was I ended up I was still stuck on thin fluids, but at this stage, so by this stage I was still on thin fluids. And I actually couldn't take any dairy. And unfortunately, the hospital I was at, they just kept trying to shove dairy in my face. So ice cream, it was all vanilla too. Vanilla ice cream, vanilla yogurt. What else was there? Oh, this disgusting thing called recovery. Oh, it tastes terrible. Anyway, and then soups. And that was the only thing I was living on, was just the soup, because I couldn't have the dairy, even though I had told them multiple times. But anyway. After that, because they kept feeding me with IV fluids, I ended up with about 400 mils of fluid on my left lung. Now, that was extremely painful. I don't want to get into this, but I ended up leaving that said hospital, and I ended up moving to, surprisingly, a public hospital. And the public hospital ended up fixing what happened at the other hospital. So let's move right on to, as soon as we got to the public hospital, I had sepsis by this stage. I had the 400 mils of fluid on my left lung. I still had the blood clot that was still going on, and the hematoma as well, but I wasn't vomiting anymore. See, in the other hospital, I was still vomiting a lot. And unfortunately, when you're in a lot of pain, they try and give you the drugs to take for the pain. So they're giving you, you know, OxyContin, stuff like that. And with me, I know personally with myself, I've taken it before because of other issues like years ago. I know that if I haven't got anything in my system and I haven't eaten, I will vomit as soon as I get given a really hard drug like that. So I had to keep saying to them, I cannot take any of this unless I have something in my stomach, which obviously is just a tiny sleeve at the moment. So it's like a really small window where as soon as you've eaten something, you have to take the pill. I mean, look, that's for me. It might not be anyone else, but for me, I know that's how my body works. So anyway, I ended up staying in the other hospital for another 7 days. And I ended up at one point being on heparin, which basically they put you on that when they're not sure if they need to do surgery. So that stops you from bleeding out, because obviously you're on a blood thinner agent. So if you're on blood thinners and you need to have surgery, it's pretty dangerous because you can bleed out, because it makes your blood a lot thinner, obviously. They weren't sure if they were going to have to drain my lung. So that was going on. I was feeling nauseous every single day. I had to take so much Maxilon, so much ondansetron, which are two like really good anti-nausea medication. So yeah, I ended up taking that. By the time I was in the second hospital, they allowed me to go on to soft food, which was honestly a godsend, because eating congealed soup is disgusting in hospital anyway. So I ended up at the other hospital. They said, okay, you can have soft food. So I was on a really downward spiral when I was in hospital because of everything that was going wrong. You know, when you have those woe is me moments, you're really upset and there's not much you can really do about it. Yeah, but it was good because I ended up being moved. When I was moved to the other hospital, I ended up having a roommate, and it's really interesting. You know, I think when you meet other people who are in hospital with you, it's really interesting to see what brought them to hospital as well, because, you know, when you start talking about things you think are really crap in your life, and then all of a sudden you hear someone else's story, it kind of really brings you back down to earth, you know. And I knew I was going to eventually be fine, but it was just in the moment, you know, I just felt like crap. But yeah, so I met this really nice lady in hospital as well, and she was my roomie for 7 nights. And yeah, she was really cool, and she had a lot going on in her life too. So yeah, it really kind of just brings you back down to earth, kind of shakes you out of it a bit. Like, I was in a lot of pain, don't get me wrong. I was in a lot of pain in hospital, and I never want to go through that again. And that's why I'm kind of telling my story about it, because, you know, going onto YouTube and seeing all these, you know, video logs by people, I didn't really come across many people that had, I guess, a traumatic after experience. You know, everything they kind of sailed through and had the normal reactions of, you know, nausea and stuff like that. But even the doctors that had me in hospital, they just said, I can't believe everything that you've been diagnosed with now. You know, I had about 4 different conditions at any given time when I was in that hospital with regards to the complications that occurred. In regards to the blood clot that happened, you know, that was just unlucky. My surgeon said, you know, when they went in laparoscopically, when they were going through, they could have just cut a blood vessel, and that's how it's occurred in the abdomen. So, you know, it's just bad luck that these things happen, you know, and I don't blame my surgeon or anything like that. It's just, this is what's happened, and I just had to deal with it. And honestly, I think it happened for a reason, personally. But I think, you know, would rather me have it than probably a 60-year-old person going through the surgery and them having it, because, you know what, I can fight that. Whereas someone who's a bit older, it may have taken them a lot longer. They may not have recovered. And yes, my complications were life-threatening had they not have been found. They were life-threatening. And my surgeon did tell me that after I got better. He said, I don't think you realise how lucky you are. So I was like, okay. So, you know, things happen for a reason. And I actually do have my photos to show you. If you're squeamish, do not look at this, but I do have my photo of what it looked like after my stomach internally, so be warned. This is a PSA. Now I'm okay. I still actually, even 3 weeks out of surgery, I still actually had quite a bit of fluid in my lung. I had about 300 mils still, so my surgeon still wasn't sure up till about a week ago if he was going to have to drain it. And then I could still feel it on my left lung. It's not that bad anymore because he definitely doesn't need to do any drainage or anything, because he can hear it when he listens. He can hear the lung down the bottom, but I can still feel a little bit. But he's not concerned at all. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened after surgery. So that's it from me. I hope you really enjoyed this vlog and kind of gives you a bit of insight into, I guess, complications and what can happen from surgery. And I hope that it helps someone at least. Yeah, pop a like or comment down below if you have any queries or questions about anything. And I'm thinking the next talk I do will probably be about my food and what I eat now, and maybe give you a tour of my fridge. So yeah, I'll see you next time.